Hello everyone, Stormer1 here. Today we'll be talking about the severe weather potential for tomorrow and also Thursday, and we'll also have an update on Oaks Day and Derby Day as well. We're going to get started with a watch warning advisory display across the country. The eastern U.S. is pretty quiet, even across the western U.S., but in the central part of the country, we actually got some severe weather ongoing. Counties that are shaded in yellow are tornado watches. You got a section that goes from western Wisconsin down into northeastern Kansas, and there's another tornado watch that's out for portions of west central Texas into central Oklahoma. And as we are seeing a big severe weather outbreak unfolding out there. And we'll look into SPC outlook here in a minute, but I want to talk about temperatures a little bit for today. And it definitely much warmer compared to yesterday. Yesterday's we during stay in the 60s. Well, today temperatures have been in the upper 70s to low 80s. Now, if you're in western Kentucky, where you got a little bit extra humidity, it feels a little bit warmer. And this is the maximum heat index values for today. In some areas, actually hit 90 degrees for a heat index. So a little taste of summer out there in western Kentucky. We may see similar values like that tomorrow. Temperatures could be a tad bit warmer and also with a little bit more moisture to work with. So, especially out in western Kentucky, it's going to be another very warm day tomorrow. So, here's the SPC outlook for today. Got a moderate risk that's still out there for parts of northern Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, in western Wisconsin. That's where we see the greatest tornado risk going into tonight. And there is actually another area that's been highlighted. It's an enhanced risk that is down in southwestern Oklahoma into western sections of Texas. And you can see where the greatest tornado probabilities are. It's within the moderate risk up in the upper Midwest. You even got the hatched area, which indicates the potential for strong long track tornadoes. Damage winds is there, but one of the bigger problems with this severe weather setup is actually going to be the hail risk. That hatched area indicates the potential for significant hail that could be bigger than 2 inches of diameter. So significant hail is going to be a big problem out there as well. Day 2, which is tomorrow, we actually got 2 enhanced risk areas. There is one for parts of west central Texas, pretty much over some of the same areas as in the enhanced risk for today. But there's another enhanced risk area that's out for portions of Ohio, northwestern Pennsylvania into western New York. And talking about tornado probabilities are not as high tomorrow as it's going to be today. Greatest tornado probabilities are actually more focused down towards the southern plains. Damage winds is the primary threat in portions of the Ohio Valley in an enhanced risk area where you got a 30% chance for damage and winds. Large hail is the main hazard for down towards Texas, and once again that hatched area indicating the potential for very large hail down there as well. And some large hail could be possible up here as well. And here's a closer look at the SPC outlook locally in Kentucky. And really not much has changed despite the enhanced risk upgrade off to our northeast. And honestly, I do agree with the slight risk placement here. And the margin risk did get expanded more to the southeast and includes really most of southeastern Kentucky down there. But overall, I do agree with the SPC outlook for this one. So let's check out one of the weather models here. So this is the RRFSA, and this is one of the newer models here that's been around for a couple of years now. It's experimental, but it's done some good so far this spring here, and I think it's got a pretty decent picture going forward, going into tomorrow. So those thunderstorms that are ongoing in northeastern Kansas, northern Missouri, some of those same storms will move across Illinois and into Indiana later tonight and into tomorrow morning. And that could be a little decent line in there. You could have some strong, maybe some locally damaged winds in there. But that line of storms will continue to slowly weaken through Tuesday morning. However, there could be a window where you may see a little bit of re-intensification if more instability is realized, especially across Ohio. And that's the main uncertainty with this wave here, is how big this cluster of thunderstorms are going to be or how intense it could be. You know, those sort of things unfortunately are hard to forecast because models to handle this stuff like crap when it comes to storms that go from the day before into the next morning. They just don't handle it very well. They handled it really bad last year. And this time, it's not as bad, but it's still not good. But either way, though, I do think what's going to happen here is that we're going to see kind of a weakening band of some showers and thunderstorms that's going to roll through Indiana into Ohio. You may see a window of re-intensification in Ohio if more instability is realized. But more importantly, it may eclipse some areas in northern Kentucky Tuesday morning, and there may be a strong storm or two mixed in there if re-intensification does occur. But it can also lay down a boundary here. And this is going to be crucial for later in the day, because if we do have a boundary that sets up in here, down across north central Kentucky, even back towards southern Indiana, that can be an earlier timing with the thunderstorms. The cold front is still kind of back here, and if we just see thunderstorms on the cold front, storms will be kind of on the weaker side for tomorrow evening. But if we have thunderstorms that form along the outflow boundary, they'll likely form during peak time heating, which means a little bit better opportunity for some severe weather. And that's exactly what this model here shows here. Is we kind of go a little bit later in the afternoon, and you can see how that boundary, all of a sudden, along that boundary, you get thunderstorms that initiate near or along the I-64 corridor out there. And some of these storms can be strong to severe, and they may try to cluster up and may try to push south and east, so that'd be another thing to watch for as well. And the severe weather threat should diminish really after 11 o'clock, or especially after midnight when we lose instability. And another thing to kind of watch out for is how much wind energy we're going to have as well. And honestly, I think the morning wave is going to last a little bit longer than what this model is projecting. Is because there's still going to be plenty of wind energy to work with, number one, but also number two, might be a little bit more instability out ahead of it than it actually realizes out there. But you can see there that little push of wind energy that comes through Kentucky, just strong enough to help boost some of these thunderstorms just a little bit out there. But as you get really, especially tomorrow night, you see how the wind energy levels start to come down a little bit there. So really after midnight is when the severe weather threat really begins to diminish out there. So really the main window for the greatest potential for severe weather is going to be in the late afternoon into the evening hours. If we check out instability here, you can see here going to Tuesday afternoon, we do have an area of moderate instability out there. Instability values may exceed 2,000 joules per kilogram, which will be enough to support some severe weather as well. So really you got a decent chunk of your ingredients in place for at least some scattered strong to severe storms out there. And if we actually check out the superset composite from the HRRR, you can see here the values are not all that impressive here. A little bit better numbers up towards Indiana, Ohio, where we got better wind energy to work with. But down here in Kentucky here, wind energy numbers are a little bit lower. If I do get a sounding near Lexington, you'll be able to see here what we could be dealing with here. You can see here we got plenty of instability to work with. You got surface-based instability exceeding 2,000 joules per kilogram with mixed layer CAPE near around 2,000. So you got plenty of instability to work with. Lap rates look good. And talking about wind shear here, you can see our low-level shear is not all that impressive out there, which is what's really going to limit the tornado risk. It's the lack of low-level shear out there. But I still cannot rule out a quick spin-up tornado out there. The chance of it's very low, but I wouldn't be too concerned with that. What I would be watching more closely is probably going to be the damage wind and large hail risk, because anytime when we have weaker lower shear underneath stronger upper level shear, that can help increase the risk for some large hail. So large hail is on the table for tomorrow, and of course damage winds is there as well. And you can see here for the damage wind risk, we actually got some dry air mixing happening at the surface, which is good for the damage wind risk. That means that the winds can mix down better down towards the surface within some of these thunderstorms out there. So the sounding here would be favorable for damage winds and even some large hail out there. And also, getting a little more in depth with the tornado risk, another reason why the tornado risk is extremely low is when we look at wind change direction with height. You can see those wind bars are generally at the same direction. And typically with something like that, it's very hard to get tornadoes in this type of environment. It's very difficult. Really the only way to get tornadoes with this type of environment is if you get some outflow boundaries that kind of merge together. They can help increase shear in a localized area. But then again, chance of it is very low out there. So I wouldn't be concerned about the threat for tornadoes out there. It's primarily going to be a wind and hail event. Which here you go here. A little more depth here on the threats. So damage winds, in my opinion, I think it's going to be the primary threat. Added medium risk, damage winds that could be upwards of 65 miles an hour. Large hail could be in play. Hail that could be up to the size of $half. Then tornado risk, again, very low. Could be a quick spin up. And then for the flood risk, I think it's also going to be very low. Really, the main way to get a flood risk tomorrow is if you see some training of thunderstorms out there. If we do see some training of thunderstorms, then there could be some local high water issues out there. So overall, not going to be a huge event tomorrow, but definitely stay weather aware out there for tomorrow. And then that cold front moves into Kentucky tomorrow night and then installs out over Kentucky through the day on Wednesday. And we may get a couple of waves of some showers and thunderstorms. Well, actually, thunderstorms will actually be scattered in nature. I'll take that other part back. So thunderstorms on Wednesday is generally going to be scattered in nature, and it's a possibility that some of the thunderstorms could train over some of the same areas that could lead to localized flood risk. Well, speaking of localized flood risk, these thunderstorms will produce a lot of rain in a short amount of time. There's actually going to be a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. So if we end up seeing training of thunderstorms, there will certainly be a localized flood risk. And I also think the flood risk is a little bit higher tomorrow than it is for Wednesday than it is for tomorrow. And also cannot rule out a couple of strong storms out there. The severe weather risk for Wednesday is not as high as for tomorrow. So I'm not concerned about severe weather for Wednesday. But as we move into Thursday here, we get a surface low that rides through the Midwest region, kind of moves from Missouri through Illinois into parts of Michigan kind of throughout the day on Thursday. It's going to be strengthening as it moves off to the northeast. And there's a chance that this low here may go below 1,000 millibars. And the European model today is a little bit stronger with the surface low compared to yesterday. And if that does happen, then the setup can be a little more favorable for severe weather. The wind fields can be a little bit stronger, plus you get more non-directional shear in place, which means that you get wind change direction with height. Directional shear is what we'll be seeing tomorrow. Directional shear is where you have winds that don't really change as you go up in height or go up into the atmosphere. So directional shear tomorrow. Wind shear may be a little bit more non-directional for Thursday, and I think the tornado risk is a little bit better Thursday compared to Tuesday out there. But if we look a little bit deeper into this setup here, if we check out the 500 millibar winds here, you can kind of see here with a stronger surface low, the upper level winds will be a little more favorable, which in this case here, it actually tries to get this trough here maybe kind of having a little bit of a negative tilt type of look. And as I've talked about yesterday, usually negative tilt troughs can produce the more significant severe weather, most of the time compared to other different types of troughs. Now, neutrally tilt troughs can also produce some severe weather, but usually negative tilt troughs tends to support a little bit bigger severe weather events. And you can see here we get a pretty decent amount of wind energy out there. It's definitely a favorable look for those wind shear parameters, especially in the upper levels, and it's also can help give a pretty good boost for some of those thunderstorms out ahead of that little jet streak as well. And this is your little jet streak right here. And typically out ahead of that is where we tend to see some of the bigger thunderstorms out there. And if we look into the 850 millibar winds, which is your low of jet region, you can see here. Now, if we were to compare it to tomorrow's low of jet winds is going to be like maxing out maybe 20 to maybe 25 knots, maxing out tomorrow. And Thursday, we'll potentially doubling it, maybe upwards of 45 knots. So definitely more wind energy to work with for Thursday compared to tomorrow, which is why the potential is higher for Thursday than it is for tomorrow. And if I were to check out dew points here, you can see here dew points, that's not going to be an issue. Dew points are in the low to mid 60s, and you also see the wind bars as well. And if we do end up seeing a stronger surface low here, that means those winds of surface can turn a little bit more southerly, which can help increase the potential for tornadoes. Right now, the low pressure system doesn't look to be that strong for Thursday, so I think the tornado risk is going to be pretty tamed for Thursday, but it could change as we get closer. But regardless, I think the main hazards for Thursday is going to be damaged winds and maybe even some large hail out there as well. And one last thing is instability. It's another important ingredient for severe weather. And you can see here from the European model, you got instability values anywhere from 1,000 to maybe upwards of 2,000 joules per kilogram. So that would be enough to support some severe weather out there. So Thursday is definitely a day I will be watching as we get closer here. The SPC hasn't highlighted any risk for Thursday, which I'm surprised, but I do expect them to at least issue a slight risk later tonight on their day 3 outlook. So Thursday's definitely a day we're going to watch as we get closer. And then after Thursday here, for Oaks Day, going to be a little bit showery out there. You can see those little green specks across the state out there. And Oaks Day, it's not going to be too bad. I mean, we've seen worse for Oaks Day in terms of the weather. So sprinkly, maybe a little bit showery, but the temperatures won't be terribly cool either. Temperatures will be in the upper 60s to around 70 for Oaks Day. So the weather's not going to be too bad. But things have changed a little bit, because modeling is showing potential for another low pressure system moving through Friday night and into maybe Saturday morning, which is something the models didn't show yesterday. And the European model is showing it, and even the American model, the GFS, is showing it as well. So that kind of brings up the chance for rain for Derby Day, but I think the greatest chance for rain for Derby Day is going to be in the morning. Now, if you're along and east of 75, that greater rain chance may last throughout most of the day, but out in Churchill Downs in Louisville, things may try to clear up just in time for the race. So hopefully it stays that way. And it'll be another cool day too. High temperatures once again will be generally in the mid to upper 60s, maybe close to 70 if you get a little bit more sunshine out there. But overall, it's not too bad. Then again, we've seen worse for Oaks and Derby Day here. So overall, the weather's not looking too bad, at least as it stands here. Now, if this system here were to trend slower, a little bit slower, then we may have to increase rain chances for Derby Day. But for right now, Derby Day isn't looking too bad. But we'll give more updates on it as we get closer. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit that like button. If you really like my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys got any questions, put a comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.